Hello, my name is Molly Smith. I'm a freshman at Davidson College and an intern for the Van Everysmith Galleries. Welcome to our artist interview with Mr. David Sanchez Burr, whose video piece is on display in the Wall Academic Center here on campus. Mr. Sanchez Burr is an artist currently teaching at Lake Forest College in Illinois. He does everything from site-specific installations to time-based media or performance pieces. He's received grants and awards from the Nevada Arts Council, the Media Arts Project, ISEA, the Art Production Fund, and the National Endowment for the Arts. Thank you, Mr. Sanchez Burr, for joining me virtually. How's this year been for you?
This year has been extremely strange and horrifying at the same time. But aside from that, I think that there's much to be learned from our experiences so far this year. I think that there's some positive takes we can take from this.
In your newer video pieces, what were you most excited about exploring?
Well, there's something I think that I guess we need establishing about the artwork. We need to establish first about it when we talk about it is that it is performative in a way, because in the video what you're seeing is actual movement of objects that are happening over time and that are proposed by me playing music through a score. So in fact, the work is actuated electronically via vibrating motors to move based on specific sequences of sound that I make. So there's a sound score associated with it, but the sound score has been removed. And what you're seeing is sort of the remnant of it, which is the movement itself. And before talking to you or before knowing about this interview, I wanted to talk about something specific and pose a question to those who are listening. And that is to say, what if you went to a theater to see a theater production, but the characters didn't move? Only the set moved. And you were expecting and wanting action to occur. And it's that expectation, I think, that I want to sort of push through, is that something is supposed to happen. And a lot is happening, but the characters are not moving. And it's that immobility that I think translates to some aspects of our life and society today, in that we feel that there is this sense of drastic change, but there's also the sensation that nothing is really happening at the same time. And the need for change is great, as many of our citizens and many people, many disadvantaged, need change to happen dramatically. They need it to happen now. It's way overdue. But the artwork speaks of architecture, and it speaks of our world and the structures and infrastructures around us falling apart and crumbling around us without us being able to sort of maintain or sustain or even evolve to new structures that can incorporate the type of change that we're looking at, the type of change that people are discussing today overwhelmingly in the media and in other forms of communication.
I noticed some of that in your artist statement, where you also stress the importance of harmony and discord. When did you decide to make that a focus?
There's always been this fascination of mine with the idea that there's organized and disorganized structures. There's this kind of a flux between the two, a constant idea of there's maintenance and there's decay. That we create new things and then they fall into different states of maintenance and decay. My fascination has always been to make things very much active, and I've always thought of making my work appear to the viewer as if it's about something that is important. That it translates ideas that are that no one's going to walk away from the artwork thinking this is about nothing at all. My goal has always been to incorporate many of the ideas, both social, philosophical, political contexts that I have grown up to see in my life, and to be able to translate that into sometimes participatory work, sometimes it's performative, sometimes it's a video presentation, but ultimately it sort of parlays my vision of the ongoing change that happens around us and our ability or disability to be able to enact change at specific times. The idea of cacophony comes up a lot in my work, and we struggle through cacophony. We need to find, in other words, voices that speak to us out of the myriad of voices that speak to us, that really bring us something, that are generous thoughts, generous ideas. And so in other works that I've done with radios and concepts of itinerary community radio projects that I've done, I also have done collaborative work, a lot of it with the audience, in which we're trying to build something out of what seems to be an eternal set of cacophony. So it's trying to sort of fight through it and sort of organize ourselves. So itinerant communities are made through my exhibitions, in which people get together to make things, even though the whole artwork is designed to fall apart nevertheless.
What role does that particular piece play in the greater context of the entire installation?
Right. So what I've fabricated all the parts in this exhibition. I've done performative works. When I designed the Bad Anthropocene Machine, it was designed around the idea that it could be an extension of a lot of things that I've done in the past. I've played in bands before, hardcore rock bands. I've been in a lot of different scenarios. I make artwork with video. I feel like, as a performance artist as well as a visual artist, using materials, that I wanted to sort of make a project that could encompass any type of relationship or collaboration at any given point, based around the idea of this perpetual change, or creating and generating new circumstances for audience to be participating in the projects, bringing in their own ideas. And so Bad Anthropocene Machine refers, of course, to the Anthropocene, which is something that's being debated by geologists about whether it actually exists or it doesn't, meaning that, is it a geological era, or is it just an epoch of time? But it deals with essentially us and our existence, and how it is that we exist on the planet. And so my vision for a Bad Anthropocene is to get a bunch of people together. Sometimes even it might be a band eventually that I might tour across the country with. I wanted to leave it wide open, and I wanted to take advantage of the full scope of my own experiences as an artist and musician and sound artist, etc.
Could you talk some more about your process musically?
I started out making music straight from, I'm a Gen Xer. I was making punk rock music when I was 14 years old. My process was what started in a very disorganized way. I wasn't a trained musician. I learned myself. Little by little, the sound work that has evolved has come from my explorations in the history and the canon of sound art and experimental sound. And I just really became fascinated. I'm one of those people, I guess, that has the ability to listen to maybe one tone of sound for an hour and a half and not be concerned about myself. Psychologically, I love sound as an experience, and I teach this very much. And it's very prominent in my teaching, is that the relationship between sound, the relationship between volume, space, and architecture, anything that you make with physical objects. There's a real tangible relationship with that. I make my work even more tangible than that by implementing sound as a motivating engine for movement in my work. But I think that I've evolved from a situation where I was already on the outlying and periphery of the mainstream, and I've always maintained to that ethos. I've never really listened to pop music. I don't I don't I look for interesting things that are done by interesting artists that are not looking for formulas to make success, but rather are making great music with the intent of providing someone with an amazing experience. Now, I'm not going to put down pop music because pop music is popular, and I understand that there are really good pop musicians. I'm not putting it down entirely, but that's just not my way of thinking. I guess I was pre-wired to to listen to very esoteric music from the very beginning.
I was wondering how much of your process goes according to plan, how much you plan out ahead of time, or if you make discoveries along the way.
Molly, that's a really great question. And so I have a great answer for that. If you ever listen to John Cage, or if you've ever studied John Cage, and I recommend that you do, or that listeners do, or read about him, there's an operation called chance. And chance is something that I always embed in my work. It's the possibilities of anything occurring, including the audience. The audience, in some cases in my artwork, I've had moments when parts of my installations have been thrown across the room. Um, there's this activity that is the cacophony in which I speak, that you can't expect everyone to act a specific way, and everybody comes in with their own diverse experience, and my work accepts that. I've learned to accept this idea that any chance can occur, that I include chance in those variables. And being that I also include my audience as part of their participation and co-authorship of the work, then that's part of it. And so that's why I love doing what I do, is because I never know what's going to happen. And I don't know many artists who can say that. And I feel like I feel like I'm in a good place, because I couldn't be happier. I mean, sure enough, I get concerned about things getting thrown around, but at the same time, I'm not the one to mediate that. My work is an impulse for people, and they do a lot of times whatever they want with it.
Mm. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Sanchez Burr. I want to remind everyone that his work is on display currently at the Wall Academic Center, along with other artworks revolving around economic themes.